Hey guys, and welcome back to A Gamer's Eden. I'm Tim,
I'm Matt.
and we are continuing with our D&D Talks kind of series. We're playing Abzu here, which is a nice little kind of relaxing and calming game. If you don't know, if you haven't seen the first couple of episodes, this is where Matt and myself, who are some rather new DMs, as in we've been playing for 3-ish years, talk about Dungeons and Dragons, the things we like, the things we don't like, the disagreements we have, the favorite things that we enjoy, all that fun stuff. We basically just nerd out and talk about slaying dragons, getting treasure, all that fun stuff, and all the fun G. Willikers moments that D&D provides, as well as the best and worst elements of the game. Did I miss anything? That's kind of what we've been doing, right?
That sounds about right.
And we've also been, we played Shadow of War, we're playing Abzu now. This is our little cozy, sit back, relax, listen to us idiots talk about a really nerdy thing, but you know what, we like doing it, and we're not going to stop just because you want us to.
Wow, there's some sass in that statement.
So you know what, you're not my mom. You can't tell me what to do. I'll talk about Dungeons and Dragons if I want, okay? I'll fly over the starry sea. Anyway, what are we doing? I don't really know what I'm doing with my life anymore. So we've talked about our favorite monsters, our favorite classes, our favorite races, and whether or not homebrews are a good or bad idea. That's a good episode. Go check that out. We've already done 4 of these. Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So today's topic, I'm going to jump ahead because I kind of want to talk about this one. We've talked a lot about the mechanics of the game. We've talked about our favorite things. We've talked about running games as DMs. I want to talk about just the heart and soul of D&D. So the topic for today's episode is favorite D&D moment.
Just as a player?
Just as a player, as a DM, a moment that either in the moment or when you walked away from that table, you thought, dang, that was a good ass moment. That was cinematic or emotional or just fun in general. What was the most fun or I guess the most fun you've ever had from a D&D moment?
Let's separate into 2 or 3 categories.
Okay.
Here. Let's do most emotional.
Okay, all right.
Because I think both you and me can think of a very similar situation for most emotional.
Yeah. Now, there's actually a story I haven't told you from, I played a game in Charlie's campaign. I might bring that up. But anyway, yeah, most emotional, we have a moment.
Most absolute fun.
Okay.
And then, probably just most ridiculous.
Most ridiculous. Okay. This might be a long episode. Alright, so...
I think that's good for covering the 3 main categories of what your core of D&D of really covering, really, because...
Ridiculous, fun, and emotional. I think, that kind of summarizes D&D up pretty well. So, what do you want to start with? Ridiculous, fun, or emotional?
Let's start with ridiculous.
Most ridiculous.
So why don't you go first?
Okay, so a lot of these are actually going to come from a campaign that you weren't in, which is the Charlie campaign that I mentioned. Now this is one of the longest running campaigns I had. I think I actually played as a player before I DM'd with you. It was very brief. I had an old high school buddy. It was like freshman year of college. He came back. He said, "Hey, me and my roommates play this thing called Dungeons and Dragons. Would you guys be interested if I DM'd a session?" And I said, "Yeah, heck yeah, I've wanted to play D&D for a really long time," which I had. Actually, I'd played a game of 4th edition. I think, do you remember playing 4th edition? It was my birthday. It was like late elementary school, early middle school. It was awful. None of us really knew what we were doing. Plus, 4th edition was a mess.
I mean, they really do say 13 and up for a reason. It's more.
It's a complicated game.
Yeah, it's not because you're too young to deal with the blood or whatever.
The content, because you can make the content whenever you want.
Yeah, it's complicated, and the game is very complex. And
4th edition was even more so.
Yeah,
5e is pretty simple. If you compare it to freaking Pathfinder.
5e is pretty simple.
I like that swarm. Oh man, this is a good game. Anyway, so I was playing this game, and a lot of weird stuff happened in this game. There was a pirate ship, there was a mutiny on a pirate ship, that was pretty ridiculous. This was pretty ridiculous as well. We went into this mountain. There was a maze in the mountain. It was kind of like a labyrinth sort of deal. And at the end of the mountain, there was essentially this evil deity. Actually, I think it was a dragon. We didn't know it was a dragon at the time, but it was this evil deity who had captured one of our bards, like love interests, right? The bard was played by Dexter, and the Dexter had, or his character, the bard, had a fiddle, and he challenged this dragon demon lord thing to a fiddle competition, like a la Devil Went Down to Georgia style fiddle competition. And he said, if I win, you release my love interest, but if I lose, you get my soul. Like, it was very Devil Went Down to Georgia, if you've heard that song, right? And so that was ridiculous, and he rolled performance checks, and it was pretty ridiculous. However, the most ridiculous moment I think that's ever occurred was in that campaign. There were so many things we did. We murdered an entire town accidentally in that campaign.
Jesus Christ!
By blowing toxins. Like, I had the brilliant idea. I'm like, this forest was releasing toxins, and I was like, I have the gust cantrip. I'll just blow it away. Well, I blew it into a town and murdered everyone there. But the most ridiculous was in that campaign. We had a player that he really wasn't into it at all, and he was just leaving, right? He was leaving to go home, and they're like, okay, so do you want to do anything before, your character leaves? And we were at a dock. He's like, well, is there anything around? And there's like, well, there's some fish stalls. The DM's like, there's some sellers selling fish at stalls and whatnot. And this player gets this creepy grin across his face. And he's like, I'd like to jump up onto the stall. And he's like, okay, yeah, you jump up onto the fish stall. The fishermen who started selling food, hey, you young whippersnapper, get down from there. And he's like, and I'd like to shit all over it. The DM's like, wait, what? He's like, you heard me. I want to take the biggest dump I can on all of these fish. And the DM's just like, you're serious? He's like, hell yeah, I'm serious. He's like, roll for it? Natural 20. And he's like, a flow erupts, showering this entire stall in your less than favorable waste. And so he just takes a dump on this fish stall, jumps into the ocean, and vanishes forever. And that might be the most ridiculous moment we've ever had in Dungeons and Dragons. Just from a player who really didn't want to be there, didn't really care, but it was pretty hilarious for me, and thinking back on it, yeah, pretty crazy. Most ridiculous, not the most fun, not the most emotional, but most ridiculous, probably.
Oh god, yeah, that's ridiculous.
Alright, so what have you got, Matt?
So mine's going to be not actually from one you were in either.
Mm-hmm.
Mine's from one from when I first started DMing, which was I actually made a custom tabletop, which was called The Knight. It was based off of Bloodborne, if anyone's played Bloodborne.
No.
Thanks. But yeah, so it was kind of based off of Bloodborne in a world that was kind of steampunk apocalyptic kind of thing, and it was a very basic system, and I did quest reward XP. It was not the best game. It definitely, like, it was if I was having to flesh it out, and it was a hard thing to flesh out when I wasn't exactly sure what I needed to do here and there. As a new as an older DM now, I could probably do a lot better at it. But it's kind of thing where it's like I've kind of committed to 5e as it is, and I kind of like doing 5e as it is. We tried doing a variant a while back.
Yeah, it didn't end well.
Yeah, it didn't really end well.
Well, and we can maybe talk about that in a different episode, because I think there are some good ideas there, like armor class, armor being damage reduction rather than harder to hit, right? But there are ways to make that we didn't really. Well, we just didn't do a good job of it.
Yeah. But so I was DMing this campaign, and they got into a fight with some people, with some I think assassins of some kind. And they're like, "Oh crap!" And they killed most of the people there, and there was one guy left. And they're like, "Oh, we're just gonna rip this guy apart." And suddenly, they started missing. For some godforsaken reason, they could not hit this man.
What was his AC?
His AC was like 13. Like it's not like he was like a monster manual assassin. I'm just using that as a term.
Yeah.
So he was just a dude. His AC was like 13. His HP, he had 2 hit points. Like he was bleeding out and everything. He was about to die, and he's backed into a wall with like 3 or 4 of them all looking at him, trying to hit him, and they just can't hit him for the life of him. So he's just living and slicing at them and actually doing some damage.
Can I just say how much I love this golden area? Like,
yeah,
this is so
really pretty. This is
Sorry,
really pretty.
Sorry.
You're good.
Continue.
So he's just slicing at him and doing damage. And I think he almost knocked one of them down, but he got to the point, Manatee. He got to a point where I was trying to figure out what to do, and he rolls a natural 1, and I'm like, okay, well I'm gonna roll severity. I rolled a 1.
Double ones, like, always fun.
He has 2 hit points. He gives up. So he just committed seppuku. So he just committed seppuku and gave up on everything, and the combat was over. He's like, you're not gonna kill me. I'm killing myself. Like, he's like, you don't get the pleasure. You can know that I took almost all of you out, and I still died by my own hand. And it was just so funny and so silly, but it was just so ridiculous because for some odd reason all of them started rolling shit, and they just could not touch him for some reason, and he just became absolutely just amazing. And it was just so silly and so ridiculous because it was just like, I just couldn't hit. It just couldn't. It wouldn't hit. Nothing would work. And then he just kills himself.
One that kills himself.
Yeah, and I'm like, 2 nat ones. I mean, there's not much else I can do in that situation. He's only got 2 hit points.
Trips and falls on his knife.
Yeah. So I mean, it was so silly.
Oh man. Still getting over the beauty of that gold area.
Yeah, no, it kind of comes into this red now.
That's pretty ridiculous, man.
So let's do either most emotional or most fun next.
I think we should end with most emotional because I think those make for the best stories. Most fun, I don't think I can say. I will give an example because the most fun is very hard to do. Right?
Yeah, that is a little bit tough.
Now, I wrote the question as what makes favorite D&D moment. Now, I'm not sure I have a favorite. I'm not sure I have one that's the most fun. Now, a lot of my most emotional kind of tie in with the most fun because I really do enjoy the role-playing element of it, you know? Freaking shark, man. I really enjoy the just getting involved in role-play. And like we said, we're not actors. I'm not an actor, but I just enjoy it. It's fun to do it.
Yes.
But what I really, most fun. There's been so many moments.
Just, I mean, we could just do one that you really do like.
Yeah.
Just one good one that you could think of. We don't have to do most fun. Just a really good fun moment. You know, that isn't absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I kind of got one in my head,
yeah.
And I got another 2 or 3 that I can think of.
All right. Yeah, you know, I was thinking as a player, but as a DM, the reveal of Andros, the big baddie of that campaign, the green dragon, to the players was so freaking rewarding, because I had, since session 1, the plan for this dragon to emerge, and it wasn't necessarily a surprise, but I told the players that the dragons are dead, right? Which means the dragons aren't dead, but that's what I told the players. And I knew that Andros was going to be the big bad, this adult green dragon. Actually, he was supposed to be a young green dragon at the beginning, but I thought he was supposed to be a minor villain at first, but I'm like, nah, this guy's got to be something really powerful to mess with. So, do you remember the reveal of Andros? Do you remember where he was and what was going on?
Yeah, I'm pretty clear on Andros, because we were going to we were going to Green Vale, which is where they were amassing some army for some reason, and they were giving minimalist troops or something like that to Osmandius, the current king of the kingdom.
Yeah, who they'd sworn that they would serve, but they weren't giving their troops to him. Rather, they were storing their troops, which was a little strange, right?
Yeah. So the party goes down, and it's like, yo, what's going on? And the Greenvale Duke or whatever, or Lord or whatever.
Yeah, and Greenvale's like a small little county. It's nothing special, but they're building up kind of an army, small army.
And so we go to the Duke or Lord of Greenvale, and he's like, yo, I don't know what you're talking about. And then it turns out that the knight next to him is like, yo, why are you asking questions? And the Duke's like panicking, he's fat, he doesn't seem smart enough to deduce this. And then the knight just starts piquing our interest more and more. And eventually we just get to the point where, like, look, we're learning something, and I don't care what it is. And he just suddenly just transforms into a green dragon. We're all like, oh my god. And it was so amazing. And I remember Korgon almost made it out.
Korgon did
our half-orc barbarian made a run for it to try and make it out alive, and he almost made it. And then he
failed a sneak check, and but he was one stealth check away from making it out of there.
Yeah, it was so close. But I'm just having fun jumping through the water. But yeah, no, so it was so amazing to see that reveal, and so much fun. I was obviously guessing that there was going to be a dragon at some point, you know, but just the way you described it, the way it happened, it was such a reveal and such a good job of it.
I'm glad you enjoyed it, because I really enjoyed it, right? And you guys fought the Andros as a knight for a while before he transformed.
Yes, we did.
And so the whole idea was that Andros, as a green dragon, had corrupted this guy and was getting more and more power, was building an army to overthrow the king. You guys don't need to know all the specifics. Maybe one day we'll have a Gamers Eden just explains our campaign section or something. But Andros had corrupted this duke, was his right-hand man. They fought, and when he realized that he probably wasn't going to win this fight in his human form, transformed into his major form. And our half-orc barbarian almost got away. It was interesting, which would have made things very different. But Andros transforms, and what I loved about that is we always play with speakers, right? We always have the speakers on. I had loaded just Dragon Roar onto my phone. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
And as I described this transformation as thick green scales emerging, you see towering before you the massive hulking creature that you thought long extinct. A green dragon raises its head and lets out an ungodly roar. And I pressed it, and it just echoes through the speakers, and I was like, that moment right there, I just loved it, because I kind of make weird-ass sounds when I DM. I make goblin noises and dragon noises.
I love your goblin noises.
But when, in that moment, I wanted something freaking intimidating. I wanted something that sounded real. So, I mean, well, a dragon's not real, obviously. But pulling up a dragon's roar, I think, really kind of drove home. And then the battle after that, where they're just they're flipping out. Can we fight this thing? No. You know, do we get out? And I have a bad tendency of kind of railroading players in situations like that. I was like, they're not going to get out of this fight. But then Corgan almost did. But that was a good reveal. It showed the intimidation factor that Andros had. It was a great reveal for a villain. Showed how in one poison breath he almost wiped out the entire party. Captured them, and then you were broken out by the I can't remember the group's name. This is why I'm not a great. The Rising Sun, yeah.
No, we were no.
You were broken out by
the people.
The Shadow. They're just assassins. They're generic assassins that live in Drawn, but they broke you out, right? And then they actually teleported you out. But anyway, it was a great reveal for a great villain. That was the most fun I ever had as a DM, probably. I loved that moment.
Oh, that was.
Your turn, sir.
So it was one. It wasn't recent, but it was a little more than that. It was during your campaign.
Mm-hmm.
And it was during the Shadow Council, which is for you guys. The Shadow Council was this for mages. They have this academy, and the Shadow Council were people that defected because they didn't believe in views that the academy did. So they kind of defected and do their own thing. And
we in Atlantis right now.
It looks kind of like it. But yeah, so we went to the Shadow Council to kind of try and defeat them because they're Shadow Council, evil, quote unquote, et cetera, et cetera. And so for me, this started getting fun because suddenly Anarchy starts talking to someone, and Korgon didn't notice.
Okay, so you need to explain who these people are because they're going to be lost.
Sorry. Anarchis is our one of our other players that Erica plays, and Anarchis is a tiefling
warlock.
A tiefling warlock who had seen the death of one of our characters. One of our characters actually died during the campaign, and she saw one of our characters drowned. And so Anarchis...
That's a moment in and of itself.
Yeah. And for Anarchis, she's starting to go a little nuts because she also has a type of curse on her from an ancient dagger of something that plagues the mind, something like that. And so Anarchis is going through a lot of stuff, and she talks to someone, and we know none of us, out of character we saw it happen. In character, we don't know what happened. Korgon, she went out to go to the bathroom for like 4 hours, and it's Korgon, come on, man.
It's freaking perception checks.
But it was getting so fun because it's like it was a really good chance to learn really good role playing of the fact that my character had never really known friends, and then he was starting to get friends, and then one of his friends betrays him. In the end of this Shadow Council arc, we didn't defeat all of the Shadow Council. We only defeated, I think, one or two. One.
You defeated one.
Yeah.
You defeated two. You killed one.
Yeah. And so, and so we had to give up on Anarchis's character, and so she kind of became a villain.
Yeah.
And that was really fun for me. I think in particular one of my favorite moments was coming back to the Shadow Council after leaving and completely decimating the altar that they were at.
Oh yeah.
Back.
So they came back to the Shadow Council.
Yeah, we left because they were warning us, and we're like, okay, we'll leave, then we'll sneak back in. We'll get all good. Because Anarchis tried to sacrifice all of the party to revive the drowned character.
Yeah, there was like this big sacrificial ritual set up, and she tricked them, right?
Yeah, and Korgon, the half-orc barbarian, almost died.
Freaking, yeah, really, really close.
Yeah,
one natural 20 away from death, actually.
Actually, technically, he would have survived anyway because of Orcus resilience.
Oh yeah, Orcus resilience.
Technically, he would have survived anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, we saw a party member turn evil. That was a pretty good experience, pretty fun.
But yeah, and so we come back after leaving, after being warned, and we just totally decimate this place. We just decimate this altar and just ruin everyone in it. It's the best thing ever. Just
murdered like 8 people in one round. In a surprise round of combat.
Yeah, one full surprise round of combat. And it was ridiculous and so amazing. I loved it so much.
It was really
But
cool.
just the Shadow Council in general was so fun, and just the arc, that part of that arc itself was just so amazing to learn about and to experience, and to have a character really branch out like that, and it was such a unique aspect, and that was my most fun time. My most fun experience.
I'm glad that you enjoyed that.
Like, there's parts of it I'm like, oh man, I really don't want to do this, because I'm like, there's no way Anarchies can turn evil, but it's like, man, it's gonna be so weird and so different, and things like, it's Goblin Shark. But it was such a unique experience, and after the whole thing was over, that's when I was like, God, that was amazing.
That was a lot of fun.
So,
a lot of fun.
So, most emotional.
Most emotional.
I want to go first on this.
Sure, go for it.
Just in case we're thinking of the same one.
Okay, sure.
But I think you probably have another one in mind.
But I think we might be sharing the same one, but I have a few. So,
so our party, after first finding out about Andros, is like, fuck. So we decide to head to. We get teleported to Drawn, the kingdom of Drawn, which is a kingdom far away from anything near the dragon.
It's kind of far.
Yeah.
But it's a coastal country.
Yeah, so it's kind of hard to get to, and it's pretty well defended. So we're like, okay, we're okay for the moment. We got to think of a plan, because Osmandius, the current king, was going to march on Frederick, the one who's trying to overthrow him. And so they're about to, the two human powers are about to, fight out an all-out war.
Yeah, it's a civil war.
Andros's plan was to take the capital while the king and all the troops weren't there. And we're like, well, we got to figure out a way to turn Osmandius around, or figure out a way, truce or something. We got to figure something out. We got to make sure that Andros doesn't win. And we deliberated for probably about an hour or maybe two, just about what we're gonna do. And we're trying to figure it out, and we're trying to think about it. And we came to the conclusion that the only thing we could do to get multiple things of this done was to party split. And so we decided, we gotta party split. We have to do it. And so so I split with Korgon, the half-orc barbarian, to go back to the city of Zora, the capital, to defend the city against Andros until they can get troops back to us. And we knew we weren't going to win, but all we needed to do was just, survive, which in itself was kind of a hard thing. So, oh God.
Oh boy.
But ouch. But yeah, so we split, and we're on our boat, and Anarchis and the paladin, Uldrain, decide to go on another boat heading towards, what was it? Frederick's Lanceport, Frederick's main base, to try and create a truce between Osmandius, or just stop it from happening. Just try and stop them. So they head that way. And so they...
One on land, one on sea. Going in opposite directions.
Well, we both were on sea. We both took ships.
Oh, yeah, you took a ship as well, didn't you?
Yeah, we both took ships.
Yeah.
So we go in opposite directions. And then he starts with Anarchis and Uldrain.
Yeah.
And so...
Oh, no.
The Sharky is stuck. And so he starts talking about... Tim tells us he decided to roll for weather, and he rolled a storm.
Yeah, now I normally don't roll for weather because I don't think it's super important, but time was kind of the essence here. So I'm like, the speed at which, Sharky our friend now?
Sharky is our friend.
The speed at which they go is dependent on the wind, so I need to roll to see how quickly they're going to get there. I rolled a natural 1. I'm like, well, that's a storm. Anyway, continue.
So there's this storm. And so they start getting covered in the storm, and they start getting bombarded, and they start just getting overwhelmed with, this huge thunder, lightning, water, and a wave comes over the boat and knocks Avelios, or not Avelios, God, that's his other character, shit, knocks Uldrain off the boat. And so he's like, okay, well, you weren't wearing your armor, right? So you don't have the armor weighing you down. And Uldrain, Micaiah's character, is like, no, I am, because of what happened, because he experienced something. He got a scar or something.
He was attacked by bandits at night one time.
He was attacked by bandits at night at one time, so he always wears his armor. So he was always wearing his armor. So he's like, no, I'm wearing my armor. I have to. I'm paranoid. I'm paranoid, so I have to. Giants, go ahead.
Kudos to him for playing his character.
Yeah, because he could have easily just said nah, and just given up on, and then he probably would have survived. Giants, go ahead.
Yeah.
But so he gets knocked over, and he's in this adamantium, like full adamantium armor.
Oh yeah.
And, you call it adamantium, and basically it was an armor that didn't let you crit him, and it gave him like an AC of like 20 or 21, and at level 5, level 5ish, that was really good armor. So it was really good, but it's like full plate mail, so it's really heavy. So he's like, oh god, so he has to make, what was that, athletic checks
to swim,
to try and swim up, and he rolled 3 natural ones in a row. 3. The probability of that is astronomically stupid, but he somehow managed it.
Yeah.
And so Tim just starts describing Uldrain drowning, and Anarchise dives in after him to try and save him, but she can't.
She had a rope, and literally came to the end of her rope, and he was still like 40 feet away.
Yeah, she came to the end of the rope to pull her back up, and she just couldn't reach him. And so Anarchise watches Uldrain drown, which is kind of funny that we're playing a water game. She watches Uldrain drown and fall into the sea, and and
he just sinks.
Yeah.
And she has to watch this and can't get to him.
And yeah, she can't get to him, and so it kind of steeps into the fact of the whole Shadow Council thing, and it was such a cinematic and emotional moment that just happened, and it just...
Not to mention that Uldrain at that time, with the exception of Korgan, had been the longest running character we've had in that campaign.
Yeah, because...
the player loved him, we loved him as a character, but as a DM, in that moment, it was only... I mean, I can't say I had no other option. You always have options as a DM. But it felt necessary, and the rules supported that Uldrain had to die there. And he died in such a cinematic and emotional way.
It was just so... It fits so well, and we always miss Uldrain because of it now, but because it was really fitting. And because of that, it was cinematic, and it just... Oh my god, it was just so amazing. And it just... It changed a lot for the campaign, and to be completely honest, everyone's gone through a character in Tim's campaign. I've changed once, except Andy, who's not there all the time.
Yep.
That is Korgon, the standing wall that is Korgon.
Yeah. Korgon has outrageous stats.
Well, we found out that he didn't roll them right.
Oh well.
I mean, it's no reason to change it now.
Yeah.
I mean, he's fine.
It's part of his character that is too good.
Yeah. So, I mean, and it's just...
This is going to be a long episode.
It is. I'm sorry.
No worries.
But, yeah, no, it's just... It was so amazing to experience that. It was so ridiculous. Just so emotional in that moment. Because there was just... Me and Andy, who plays Korgon, had to just sit there. And just listen to it. Because we weren't there. We couldn't help. And the thing about my character, Shin, he could have helped.
Yep.
Like, he really could have, because he has these orbs that he could have used as tools to lift him up, and it was so bad. And now I'm paranoid all the time about party splitting, and like it's just oh.
Well, and what's so great about that moment? It was completely organic. Nowhere in my notes could I have written a death scene like that. That was what should have been. You took a 3-day journey northward. Became the most emotional moment of the entire campaign. Nothing was planned. Nothing was prepared. But just because the dice did what the dice did, and because good role playing from the players, and just a cinematic opportunity that I took advantage of, became one of the best moments of the campaign. Heartbreaking, but best, you know. So yeah, that was the one I kind of had in mind.
Too.
But I do have another one from another campaign that you weren't there for, the Charlie campaign. I played. Now, this is kind of a long story. I played Falfaz, my dwarf fighter. That was the first character I ever played. He died without me there. Did I ever tell you this story?
Yes, you did. I remember this.
So I wasn't there for a session because my spring break or Christmas break or whatever didn't line up with everyone else's. So they played without me. That was fine. I come back and I'm told, yeah, you died. And I'm like, I turned to the DM, I'm like, what the hell, man? Like, as a DM, you don't let your character, your players die when they're not there, right? That's a little harsh. And he's like, look, now I did everything I could. He's like, I did not want to kill you when you weren't there. So you died as an NPC, right? There was a fight. You were taken down. No one tried to stabilize you, and so you died. Well, I gave them a potion of resurrection, right? It was just a very cheap out, kind of easy way of bringing you back. On the body of the creature they killed, they found a potion of resurrection. Well, one of the other characters, Squire, had died in the fight as well. And for some reason, the party thought that my character wasn't dead. He was just sleeping. So instead of giving me the potion of resurrection, they gave the paladin Squire the potion of resurrection and let my character die. Okay. Fine. I'm actually not really that salty. It was just kind of a funny story. I'm like, what? Okay. So anyway, I had to make a new character halfway through the campaign. Now, they were in that maze I told you about in the mountain. So I just made an old human wizard, because I could. And I didn't give him a backstory because I made him very last minute, and I just said he's been wandering the maze his entire life. This is really weird. He's been wandering the maze his entire life, or for as long as he can remember. And, as long as he can remember. The only thing he can remember, no Sharky, about his past life is that, the only thing he can remember about his past life is that there was a girl. And so that's all the DM had to go on. Well, we come into this town later on, and there's this very powerful wizard there that kind of rules the town, and everyone doesn't really fear him, but likes him. Everyone's enchanted by him, essentially. And eventually we go on this big long quest to fight the guy. We break into his house. And at the end, we find out that this boy, the girl of my memory, was actually my master. Are we a skeleton?
Yeah, you find out you're kind of a robot.
Yeah.
I mean, it explains why you've been able to just dive underwater for a determined amount of time. Shark.
Yeah. No, Sharky, don't die, Sharky.
Caught up in this one.
I know, it's so sad. No. Don't die, Shark. Oh. That's sad. Well, about continuing with emotional moments.
Perfect.
So we found out that the girl was actually my master, and that she had died a long time ago. And she had me as an apprentice. Now she also had this like very young boy who was not nearly as powerful as I was. Well, it turns out that that boy had become this very powerful enchanter wizard dude that was ruling the city. And he held this grudge against my character, that he was more powerful now and blah blah blah, and that I was to fight him, and that we were to have a one-on-one duel to the death kind of thing. And this was, I really enjoyed role-playing this, but my guy, who'd been kind of lost for so long because he didn't know what anything was, why he was alive, who he was, where he came from, all of that, he turns to the guy and says, "No, I won't fight you." So the guy kind of like shoots a firebolt, but it misses him. And he says, "Fight back!" I say, "No, I won't fight you." And I get down on my knees, and I just say, "If you want to kill me, do it. But you're the closest thing I have to family. I will not fight you." He shoots and he misses. And I just remain silent. And then like everything goes black. That's what the DM describes. And so I wake up in this hospital bed. The guy has healed me back to health. And has said, yeah, that now maybe the time is right for old wounds to heal. And that, we can move forward. Now, one of the other party members who hadn't seen this whole exchange actually sneaks in on this room at this point in time and thinks that I'm about to like get killed by this individual. And so rather than he's kind of about to offer his assistance and join our side, well, this other player who doesn't know that shoots a crossbow, crits him, and kills him in that moment, right? And so he's just about like forgiveness, turning a new page in the book, and as he's saying this, crossbow bolt right into the back of the head, and he falls over onto my bedside, dead. And so at that moment, I get up from my bed. All the players don't really know what's going on. I go over to the balcony and jump off and kill my character right there.
That's pretty
and
good.
So that was like in that moment he had gained. Oh, that's beautiful. He had gained a sense of purpose, of understanding and beauty, and then it was immediately taken away from him, and and it just overtook him. And I think it was kind of one of the most emotional moments of Dungeons and Dragons. That's like, was it the right decision? No, I don't think so. I don't think suicide's ever the right decision, but it made sense in that moment as a character, and I thought it would be a good story. At least it would make an emotional impact on a game that's normally about slaying goblins and whatnot. I think it really drove home that emotional impact. Now, honestly, I still like the Old Rain thing maybe a little bit more. They're two very different things, but that was definitely an emotional moment of Dungeons and Dragons.
That's a pretty deep one right there.
So yeah, this episode's gone for nearly 50 minutes.
That was a long one. It was a good last one for at least this session.
Yeah.
It was a good one.
Well, yep. So, guys, if you want, tell us in the comments your favorite emotional moments, or that you've got from D&D or any other game. Tell us if you're enjoying this series. We say this every episode, but I'm really enjoying talking about this stuff. I'm enjoying this game, which is freaking beautiful. It's a nice game to just chill out, talk about fun stuff. And just talk about a game that we both enjoy. They can offer anything from taking a crap on a food stall to losing your meaning and purpose in life, or watching your friend drown in an ocean. Dungeons and Dragons is an interesting game, I'd say.
If you're watching this and you have not played the game yet, we extremely suggest it.
Yeah, go for it.
It is a game that has really defined our lives for the last couple of years, and has really made. I mean, it's. We've reconnected with our bud Micaiah because of this game,
Yep.
and we were buds in high school.
We've made new friends.
Yeah, and I reconnected actually with an ex of mine, which is Erica. And I mean, I'm not dating her, but we're just friends now, and you know, it's really nice to be friends with her again and have fun DMing and experiencing and being a player with her, and you know, and it's fun, and I've met a couple of new people because of D&D. I've been able to socialize with a good amount of my coworkers because of it. It's a very good way to
be social, have fun.
It's a very good catalyst for being able to meet really fun and really good people.
Just get together and have a good time.
Yeah.
With friends, and just play pretend like you're kids again. I mean, it's really an excuse to just be a kid and play pretend, you know? So if you haven't played it already, do it. You'll do yourself a big favor. And until next time, guys, so long, farewell. I don't know, we need a good sign off. Go play Dungeons and Dragons. And we'll see you guys in the next episode of A Gamer's Eden D&D Talks. Bye, guys.
See you.